So last week, I reached out to my friends and family on my personal Instagram account, and I asked if there were any career-related topics that they wish that I would post a little bit more about on Spark and Pivot. And I got this question here, which is super interesting. I think, knowing the person that submitted it, that this was kind of stated in jest, but there's a very serious message and concern that actually drives the question. My first instinct was to just pick up the phone and have one of the powwows that I usually have with this friend. But then I thought, you know what, maybe I'll ask folks if this is a topic that more people would be interested in. And I could not believe the amount of people that sent me messages on Instagram and via text saying, oh my gosh, please, please share more about this. And so what I'm going to do in this reel is provide a couple of pointers for how to navigate these situations. So, number one, how do you know that you are having a conversation with someone and their reality is based on a different understanding than your own? Now, the clinical mental health side of me wants to share that there's delusional, as in like I'm having delusions of grandeur, where I actually think that I'm like the underground president of the world, or persecutorial, delusions where I think that the FBI is after me. And these are very real mental health challenges that I have clients that are dealing with this. And that requires a certain degree of compassion and skill that I know is not necessarily the situation that was being asked about from a work standpoint. But the more colloquial usage of delusional as it relates to career typically is in that range of like you're working with someone that feels like they have a little bit more power and authority than they actually do. Or perhaps you have tried to roll out a certain change to the team or the organization, and you're sensing a lot of resistance from certain individuals. Something kind of in that realm. This is someone that is hard to connect with and to engage with and to, get them operating in the function of a bigger team mission or goal. Chances are that you can develop some hypotheses or kind of these ideas of what the disconnect might be so that when you do go into conversation with them, you will feel more prepared. Not from a defensive standpoint, but more so understanding how you may or may not have contributed to the current confusion. If you are a leader or you're in a position of power within the relationship, then you have the ability to influence every single one of those areas that I just listed to varying degrees, right? So if someone is struggling with self-awareness and therefore they're not able to advocate for themselves, to simply say, hey, I need this in order to do my job better, that is something that they own. However, as their manager, you should be able to ask the right questions to discern whether or not they have what they need to do their job. So I would encourage you to start first with reflecting on that list and kind of thinking through what might be some of the contributing factors to the defensiveness that I am sensing. So after you've done this preparation and you've got some general ideas about what might be contributing to this disconnect and the defensiveness that you're receiving from this person, there is a lot of power when you're in a conversation to take a step back and instead of getting caught up in arguing certain points or trying to justify your position, to just take that step back and just share the observation, hey, I notice that things are feeling a little bit tense in this conversation, and I can't help but wonder if something is happening that's making you feel defensive. Hopefully when you do this, you can move into the next stage, which is they start to share some of what the disconnect is. And you have to be prepared for them to be emotional. Like they are still heated and emotionally attached to this. And as a leader, it is your job to stay as neutral in your emotions as possible. This is part of the job description. One thing that is very helpful in this process is to think of your role as needing to just take notes and to learn instead of trying to fix it or reframe their perspective. And so you can even say out loud, hey, you'll notice that I'm taking some notes. It's because I want to make sure that I'm getting everything and thinking through things very clearly so that I address your needs. This is going to help you in two ways. Number one, it's going to disarm that person and they're going to honestly feel like you're really listening because you are, and you're putting yourself aside for that. but it also helps you, and that you're going to have a chance to go back, maybe have a sleep on it, and think through things very clearly about what can I do to address these concerns, or if things are just too far gone, what is the appropriate next step so that my team and my mission can be accomplished. If this person does not take you up on your invitation to have an honest conversation about what is happening and they shut down, then you need to take that data for what it is, which is that they are going through something so emotional to them that they have not figured out how to articulate things. And at that point, you can offer them a way out. You can say, listen, it seems like this conversation is really, really tough. I am here and want to learn more. We have to get on the same page in order to accomplish the client mission or our team mission. So let's assume that this conversation produces some really helpful insight that you can act on as a leader. You implement some of those changes, you talk through some things. You should notice this person's defensiveness start to decrease, because at this point they're seeing through your actions that you really listened to them and understood them. If, however, you have determined that there is no way to meet their needs, not even incrementally, like they are that far gone and misaligned, you need to make a tough decision. Decide if that's the case, that it's better to end the relationship, because a tough conversation is always better than sitting in limbo with disappointed feelings on both sides. So, in summary, if we are dealing with someone, whether it's a client or a direct report that seems, in your mind, unnecessarily defensive, the steps are: number one, reflect and hypothesize. Number two, ask questions to understand more about their experience and name what is happening, that you do feel the tension. Number three, take what you learned and really assess. Is this fixable in a way that I can take action on and have my heart in it? Or do I need to end the relationship? And then number four, you need to have honest conversation and discuss with them moving forward if the changes are making a real difference. And you need to check in with yourself too.